Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Feng Shui podcast, episode one. I'm your host, FGC Chris, and we have our very first guest tonight, SirRetro. He is the TO of the Macon, Georgia, Mid Georgia scene. He's a coach and a friend, and I'm going to let him basically give you the introduction to himself. So, turn it over to you, sir.
Hey everyone, how's it going? So, of course, it's not that I've not been a guest before on a different podcast, as I'm used to having um, my own podcast series, which I'll get into in a bit. But of course, to introduce myself, I'm so retro. I am, like Chris said, the head TO of the Middle Georgia FGC, and particularly for the Reboot Retro Gaming grassroots community, and as well as part of the esports organization Swag Out Nerds. Of course, I have many hats, like as implied from Chris, that I coach, I help run tournaments, I even compete in them, I commentate at times, I do a lot of content in general about them. So pretty much, I do a lot of things in general, especially within the community. Of course, I'm of course born and raised here in Macon. Um, I haven't really been here all my life. I actually lived up in Philadelphia, been up north for a bit, came back down here for college, and been back here ever since. So yeah, I'm excited to be here and appreciate Chris for inviting me. Of course, for him to, of course, be on our podcast series called "I Got Next," and also try, being a also frequent viewer. It's nice to pay back a little bit to be a guest on your show, man.
Definitely, because y'all actually were the inspiration for this show. I would say you and Shadow Ace. Because
I appreciate it.
Cause I'm like, well, there's certain things because I want to know more about the
Hmm.
local FGC scene in Macon, Atlanta. Because,
Hmm.
like I said, before you guys started your podcast, I had no idea about some of the stuff that was going on in Georgia.
Mm,
Because
yeah.
at the time, when I finally found the FGC, like in my
Hmm.
area, I think that was like when it was the last Gwinnett Brawl
Mm,
was my first ever tournament.
okay.
Yeah, and at the time, I had played Big Boss DP as the first first person to ever play the tournament, but I had no idea he was even from Macon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the crazy thing about it, as far like Georgia as a whole. It actually has a history, and I'm not mistaken, if I remember, is one of the biggest histories in alongside New York and California, I would say, statewide of the gaming, the FGC community, but FGC, um, because basically, um, known for a long time that many players go back as even almost as far back in the '90s and mid early 2000s of competing in the state. And every time I meet somebody and find out they're from some part of Georgia, and then they've been around the FGC since nearly it was born, or sort. So yeah, you do find like a lot of interesting facts, and find out it's a much smaller world than you think.
Definitely, because I will be honest, like I did not even know because I've lived in Warner Robins
Hmm.
probably over a decade, and I never knew anything about Reboot. I never knew anything
Hmm.
about the local scene. I just was like playing online casually, and then events kind of happened that kind of pushed me into being more seriously about competing. And that's when I just
Hmm.
started scouring the internet, and I found like some of the places where y'all used to have tournaments at, and I would call them, say, "Hey, do y'all still do it?" They're like, "No, we don't do that anymore." And so I just kept looking, and I found Gwinnett Brawl. And then after Gwinnett
Hmm.
Brawl, I kept looking and kept looking. That's when I found the reboot, tournaments for the
Mm.
first time. And like I said, I think it was I came to the second one, and
Hmm.
the second one is when me and you started talking. You was like, hey, if you want to come down here on Thursday, we do some training sessions and stuff like." That's when the whole thing kind of got started. Because my
Hmm.
first ever major tournament was supposed to be final round that back then before COVID and everything, but that kind of fizzled out with the whole situation with COVID going on.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
yeah, but it was definitely. it was definitely something I never really expected because I didn't even really honestly think that Georgia even really had a scene like it does.
Yeah, that's it. For me, I've been involved with the scene. Not deeply involved, but I did like events in general. Like as far as more than 10 years ago, at my old college. But as far as like knowing about the scene and it was like what it was certainly around Street Fighter 4, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 days. So like 2011, 2010, 2011 days. Once I started knowing there's an actual competitive scene, and then shortly after I finished college and my first job, about to say around 10 years ago, I kind of like looking to get more involved. And I actually started with Smash. Actually, the Smash 4 came out. I actually got involved with TO and Smash, with the Smash crew, with type of house games. Shout outs to them. And then I then ventured, slowly to mess around with Street Fighter. Pretty much shortly after the time, Street Fighter 5 was about to come out, and when Reboot opened in 2016, that's pretty much when we took the opportunity to try to get involved in the sort. And when they start hosting tournaments, and had my experience by then running events, that's how I got into my interest into running tournaments and consistently being involved. And then, as you know, kind of end up building, what we have now. And that's how long we've been around as far as like reboot educating, as far as reboot educating gaming. Well, pre-reboot educating gaming because we didn't officially started that group until 2018. But it was the idea that we pretty much start placing the home base in the reboot arcade bar. So that's pretty much what led to eventually where we at this point now. Of course, been around for now at least 6, 7 years, almost as long as the bar, and crazy how active it is today.
Yeah,
But yeah,
because
we've been pulling people. Yeah.
I about to say because it definitely has been like a almost like a rebirth of the scene since Street Fighter 6 came out. Because
Mm.
I came in through the Street Fighter 5 time,
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
and I know back then I know you were doing everything you could do, but it was just like people just was they were just not feeling that game, and it was definitely felt in the
Oh yeah.
scene.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. It, and so I surprised him that we actually still ran events for that game to the end of this very life. As much as Atlanta and other scenes just kind of like slowly moved away from it, which is understandable at the time for the reason at the time. But yeah, it wasn't easy to run it consistently here and try to keep it support because everyone had a very similar mutual feeling towards it. So the game itself, that it it was done at that point, and of course we just have to enjoy it until potentially the next one comes out, and of course now here we are, almost a year, more than a year into Street Fighter 6, and of course it's seemed like a different ball game, so different change of pace. You can't find like it's impossible to not find a tournament for that game now.
Yeah,
That you can find it everywhere you go.
yeah, because it I think I think Street Fighter 6 pretty much breathed a fresh new life into the scene because
Mm-hmm.
even when you start looking at Tekken 8, and all the other games
Mm-hmm.
coming out, it's like even Mortal Kombat. Everybody's like the games seem like they're working together now. Because all of a sudden now Mortal Kombat 1 has replay takeover now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Street Fighter implemented it. Tekken's had it started it, and they're all kind of
Mm-hmm.
like taking little bits and pieces from each other to keep improving the games.
Yeah, which actually I do like about this era now. I mean, the thing about it is also too like kind of technology advances and ideas. But granted, some things were kind of ahead of the time, and some ideas like rollback, for example, is not new, and now it's become a little more mainstream because games back in the even early 2000, not or 2000, like 2010, yeah, Killer Instinct, Skullgirls, you have a few games here or there at that time frame that implemented that new network system or network concept, with easier to play online. And now you have like the standard that hey, when a new game comes out for whatever it is, a sequel or a new game altogether, it got to have rollback, it got to have replays and takeovers and this that feature. And the demand became very high and became very prominent. Especially when the pandemic happened because not everyone we couldn't go out to locally, and that pretty much makes it hard for people to connect in a social way and maintain stability in playing. So because online for some games at that time was not the best, and we had delayed based net code, but it didn't work well in most cases, in many cases. So you know
Yeah,
when it's all rollback or what it did, um, yeah, it
yeah,
changes a lot.
because we can pretty much say the Grand Blue Fantasy it tremendously got hurt by the fact that it didn't have rollback and the online was not that great.
Mm-hmm.
Because when
Yeah.
cause when the game first came out, like Justin, all the pro players they loved the game, but then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
but then once it was we had to just play it straight online, and you saw how bad the online connections could be. It's just it almost just
Mm-hmm.
pretty much killed all the momentum of that game in its tracks.
Right. Right. Yeah, and like I said, you saw ever since then. Every time a new game came out, the first question they ask is, "Where's do we have the rollback?" If it does not have rollback, I'm not playing that game. We're not buying this game, and like that demand really took prominence. And like I said, here we are now. New Tekken, new Mortal Kombat, new Street Fighter, Under Night, Grand Blue, Melty Blood, Guilty Gear, literally almost every single game that you can name that came out in the past 2 3 years. Oh, KOF 15 that now has rollback. That's the standard thing it's supposed to have from the get
A
go.
game that I never thought would even come back, Fatal Fury.
Ooh, yeah. Which I'm actually excited about that. And like I said, hey, it's gonna get it's publicly announced that we got Terry and Street Fighter, so we're gonna get Ken and Chun Li and Fatal Fury. So a major full circle for the creator of of both series. Because the cool thing that for those who do not know, the person who created the Street Fighter series also created Fatal Fury. So he
Oh,
basically both creations in just one full circle.
okay, because I did not know that.
Um,
Co-
his name is on the tip of my no, can't think of the top of my head, but I watched some development videos of some games and this. Oh yeah, I think something referring to the Capcom or SNK versus Capcom, and that's what led to that's what they brought that fact out, and that really is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, because I kind of came in, was started really
Hmm.
watching the FGC more so around the Street Fighter 4 era, and
Okay.
more
Okay.
specifically the Super Street Fighter 4 era because of one character that I just because at the time I worked at Walmart. And we, you know how
Right.
you remember how they used to have the old kiosk set up where you could actually play
Yeah,
games,
man. I miss those things, man. I miss those.
and we
It was
actually
good
had
days.
the Super Street Fighter demo on the kiosk. And that we would just go over
Nice.
there and just play, just they'll kill some time. And then we started playing the Street Fighter one, and then I seen Jury, and I just every like on my breaks, on
Ah.
my lunch, every time I just go back over there and play and play and play, and then I say, okay, I'm gonna pick Street Fighter up just because I want to play this character. Now,
Okay.
now they made her so complicated in
Right.
Street Fighter 4. It kind of hurt her going into Street Fighter 5 because they tried to make her more user friendly, and by doing so, they kind of really pretty much gimped her whole kit.
Hmm.
And that's kind of why I really didn't play her that much in Street Fighter 5 because I just didn't like the way they did her.
Mm.
And,
Yeah. Hmm.
oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm saying I agree because because I know that the significant change for Street Fighter Five it changed a lot of the characters' kits and yeah, I said that making try to make it easier for to use the character, but as a result, it seemed like it limited a lot of things that she had from four, and it felt I don't know. Part of it didn't feel like it was done either. Like it felt incomplete in some cases. And like I say, you see her, she 5'6", like she has some of her tools back and more, and it's like she's a lot more fun to play with now than before.
Because they gave her dive kit back, And
Mm-hmm.
the one thing I wanted them to give her back was her parry, but they didn't give it to her.
Oh yeah, the dodge. Yeah, she dodges and stuff when you hit her. Yeah,
Yeah,
I get what you're
that
saying.
I would have wanted them to give her that back, but I guess since they put just regular parry in the game, I guess they felt like that would be a little too much overkill for her.
Mm.
Even though people they say she's high tier.
Mm.
Well, I guess they say that more so she's mid tier. But I really feel like she's a lot stronger than what people think she
Mm-hmm.
is. But you have to really take the time to actually learn the character.
Oh yeah,
And I don't
I agree.
and I think people when she won Capcom Cup that year just picked her up and just basically tried
Mm-hmm.
to basically spam a lot of stuff. And then they really figured out like, okay, this character's a little more complex. You just can't really just you can't walk forward and win with her.
Right, right, right.
But well, let's go ahead and just get out into these questions. Just give your honest opinion. That's how I kind of want to give you a chance to kind of think on what you might want to say. I didn't want to just put you on the spot.
Oh no, you good. No, nothing wrong with
But
it.
but the first one I want to say, are majors starting to basically price out the average player going to the tournaments now?
Mm-hmm.
From my perspective, I've been the CEO twice, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking at it from it's $100 entry fee
Mm-hmm.
plus $10 per game. So that
Mm-hmm.
was, I believe, last time it was $130 plus tax. It was probably about $140.
Okay.
Like, and I'm
Yeah,
just like,
yeah, yeah.
man, that's a lot of money for basically that you may only be there for like that one day. But I understand why they have the prices set the way they do because they have to pay for the announcers, the venue they're renting out, like all these other
Mm-hmm.
things. But it's kind of a lot of people are starting to say, man, this is starting to break my pocket sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what your opinion on that situation would be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean the thing about it, and I can probably tell a little bit from our experience with running even the Easy Kai. We're not gonna go into detail, but what you're saying that the expenses nowadays has changed because resources cost more to assess. So as a result, unless you have a very big sponsor or someone that can cover most of the costs or whatever, you kind of have to pay a lot, nearly almost out of your own pocket, even as an organization, because y'all guys have money to pay it and so forth somehow. So yeah, the thing is, of course, unfortunately, that's the thing. You saw in many cases in many topics nowadays that people complain about, or Evo, for example. Evo this year was different because it's no longer at the Mandalay Bay; it's at its own different convention, and the price for even just to spectate was nearly, if not around at $200 or so forth. So you're not even competing, and you still have to pay a whole lot just to get in the building.
Yeah,
And
because I would say, 'cause I
yeah,
believe when I'm trying to remember because when my wife came, I think it was almost like $80 or $90 just for her to spectate, just for her just to sit there and watch, not to do anything, but
right,
just to
right,
sit there and watch. And I was just kind of
yeah,
like,
and
man, that's kind of like I can see $40. Okay, that's fine because she's just gonna sit and watch. But then when it got like almost close to 100, it's kind of like,
hmm oh yeah, it hurts pockets. And I said, and of course, and the point where we're at now, FGC is still not in the state where it's economically stable, and or as not economically or financially. I say, I know financial literacy is a thing for sure that is needed, but in general, like the audience that are part of the FGC and involved with it, they are not really, not too many of them are in the best economic state, and it really does hurt in the long run. When it comes to these majors having, this price points to be to increase to over time. Like I said, they're paying from we went from $50, you know, for $80 to $80 to 100 to now nearly 200 just to maybe to compete, if not to spectate, or spectate if not compete rather.
Yeah.
And it really gets hard. So in the long run, like it, I think as I say for like a solution for it, it's really hard to make a proper solution where it's easier for people to get into, to do. Because the thing is, what's it's the problem, but almost technically a good problem, and in a way, as more people want to go to these events, as the scene grows, then there's more space you got to provide. There's more resources you have to provide, and as a result, you have to provide more money. More money has to be put out to pay for it. And in some cases, depending on the location and whatnot, it can be extreme. And so like for example, like I remember there are talks about CEO where Jabali had to say that the reason why they couldn't have one venue because the internet bill was ridiculously high. And if people want to have Wi-Fi, and then make sure that if you streaming like 20 streams going on one at the same time, you make sure it's good and stable. You know, you have to pay a lot of money to make sure the internet usage was good. But like I said, as a result, you didn't have to charge the attendees a good amount of money to make enough to either profit and or just to cover the costs. And of course, I said, unfortunately, the higher expenses, the higher you have to charge. So that's that proportion that really, unfortunately, hurts. And I'll say that is unless things outside of the FCC, I would say, in the economic state changes where resources can become cheaper. You don't have to pay too much to get a whole lot. Then I think we're going to be in that state where people will either have to save up and willing to pay, or just unfortunately cannot go and just watch it from home at least. But the experience to you want to, because the thing is people want to pay money and to be part of the experience because it's different from just always watching from home.
Yeah.
And like so.
Is there any way that we could? How I want to say this, because I get, like, I know we have sponsors. We have a lot of fight stick sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
You got Red Bull. You got all these different sponsors. But when I kind of look at the finances, I'm like, how many fight sticks can you sell to like the same group of people over and over again? It's like it seems like there's a cap on, like, okay, we can only sell so many of these products to people before we don't kind of capped out.
Because the thing about it, like, so part of the thing is in the process, you will have to find a way to increase the audience so you have more people to sell it to, if that's the case. And yeah, of course, we'll come to sponsors. There are limitations, like I'll say even for our events, how we didn't have that many vendors the first time, and we didn't have as many sponsors the first time. It depends if how successful it is, and if we are successful with the event in a way, or more people are willing to like participate or sponsor or provide whatever, then it can be, hey, we start out with like 1-2 tables. They can sell a few cars, a few products here and there, and now okay, next event, if it's successful enough, we can try to find ways to reach out to new people, because that's also a part of the process. If we can, in the process between the majors, to find or market to new people that's interested, and even they don't have to be like competitors, it can be people who just want to watch tournaments and whatnot, but like to buy the products. That's the thing that on the outside, that's pretty much like an outside solution that will reach out to more people, and then as a result, for the next event, you know, you probably can sell more things, but as it for to cover the costs with the help the expenses and all that stuff, like I said, it depends on not only just that factor, but many others. Like I said, the location. The maybe some of the type of sponsors that are willing to pay cover most of it. It may find a good deal or something like that, and you may be willing to say, okay, we can lower the cost of the entry or whatever this time. But the solution that people try to do now is they do the early bird stuff. No,
Yeah.
hey, if you pay $50 now, but between this month and that month or this time frame, then no, you're good. then it'll go up to maybe $70. Then it goes to $100, and then up to probably 2 3 weeks before, then it may be 120. Unfortunately, but like, and so that's the only thing that we can do is help people anticipate the next event, and so they have time to prepare and so forth. That's usually like what the best, most organizations would do, and like I said, like, but the thing is, it depends on all the expenses that have to be paid for, taken care of. But like I said, for it to try to go down in the long run, I mean, that's it's really kind of not easy to undo, what is done. But like I said, they're not impossible. It's just that maybe either find a different location, you have to talk to bigger sponsors to convince them to, hey, help me cover this in a sense, or find a great deal somehow, and find it where you can provide, because it's really hard to try to find in the perfect world, ideally, like, find a very big space to accommodate like thousands of people with spectators, then have 20 like vendors, or plus 30 plus vendors, I say, and then have it where the internet doesn't cost too much to use overall for like 3 4 days, and the hotel prices, are not ridiculous, because like I said, that's the other thing too,
Yeah.
and the flights and the bus or car, whoever. So it's because so many expenses that people have considered, not only for the organization, but like I said, the players, because they have to pay to get a ride. They have to pay for a place to stay. They have to pay for the food. They have to pay if you want to buy some products or T-shirts, whatever. Pay if you want to customize their registration badge, or do other activities while they're traveling. So that's more no. That's the thing about beyond it. So not just the competing aspect and just going to a tournament. It's that now that those other activities is also can factor into how the prices change. So the thing is, like, trying to find a way to accommodate so much stuff for a little price is hard, man. It's really hard.
Trust me, I know because right now I'm already in the planning stages of Max Mode 2, and
Mm,
how much is going to cost to enter, how much is the
mm,
hotel room, how much is it going to cost us in gas to go up there, and if we need to move
mm.
around, okay, we need just trying to figure that all out because I the only thing I wanted to do really next year was I said if I go to any event next year, it
Mm,
would probably just be one event, and I said if I can, I will go to Evo
mm.
because I've never been there. But
Okay.
I definitely want to go to max mode again to support Shadow Ace and Data like I did the
Right.
last
Right.
time. Because when I went last time, like I said, I pretty much was got off work and drove straight from work all the way up there.
Mm.
And I tried, like I
Okay.
said, I tried to support because I pretty much bought something from every vendor in there.
Wow.
Even when we have our events now, it's like when I come in,
Hmm.
I'll go to the bar. I might get a couple of Red Bulls because I don't really drink heavily like that.
Right. Right. Right.
But I'll at least say, okay, let me buy a couple of drinks and stuff like that.
No, I get it. I did, and like I said, Reachers appreciate that. But yeah, and I get it too. And like I said, at the same time, you don't want to be money cautious, or fun cautious, I would say, or budget cautious. There we go.
Yeah.
Because in the say you don't want to try to do it, you overextend it. So like I said, trying to find a solution to hopefully things get cheaper and easier, is really hard. So in the long run, you only can do is just save up or and plan ahead, and of course things can happen, whatnot. But if it were for tips for those who want to attend events like something like a major, you know, it's learning to set aside money as a certain percentage, a certain amount. Save more for what you want to pay for that event, just in case. So say for like example, you're gonna go to CEO and the flight is like $500. Make three. Okay, make it, yeah, $400. That's the flight, and then you have the hotel maybe for 3 days, 3 4 days. I will say $800 more. Then well, you know that your favorite vendor might have T-shirts or a pen, or the fight stick you want, whatever. That can be made vary. I'd say at least between $200 to $300. So that's more you have to save up. And then, oh yeah, registration if you since you're going there. Now, if you're competing, you know, if it could be, like I said, 100, 150. So you go, so you have to save up a little bit more than all that. That's nearly already. Then you are more than like nearly more than $1,000. I mean, that's literally more than a rent's pay. But
Yep.
not maybe some for some, but that's just about a rent's pay. And that is like the best thing you could do. And but like I said, over time we've seen people just say, well, I just gonna wait. I'm just might just go to one event this year and that's it. Because that because times has changed. Things are different. Jobs are know different jobs pay differently. You have the economic state going on outside of it. So it's where the only thing is that for the individual, they only can best do is save up as much as possible, a budget accordingly. And as far like the organizations, unless they can find a great deal or very great sponsor, and to reduce the cost and expenses and stuff, it's they gonna may have to keep charging a good amount of money. So I mean, like I said, it sucks too because I've been on both ends. It sucks, and I'm not going to definitely sugarcoat it. You know, so for sure.
Yeah, I can speak from personal experience because the first year I went to CEO, like I was on a super tight budget because I didn't. It was something kind of last minute. Like, okay, we're gonna go, and I didn't prepare like I normally do, and so we were on
Right.
a super tight budget that whole weekend. But the next year when I went back, I pretty much knew, okay, this is how much the hotel is going to cost me. This is how much entry fees are going to cost me. Uh, this is how much it's going to probably cost me in gas set aside because we're taking a truck. So what I did, as soon as I was pretty much paid my entry fees, I went ahead and did my entry fees and my hotel all at the same time. So I already had that out the way. And then I think it was 5 months leading up. I didn't do anything. I didn't buy anything like games or anything like that. I just every little bit of extra money. I just put it to the side, put it to the side, put it to the side. And I was talking to a big boss DP at one of the tournaments, and I was saying, "Yeah, we're getting ready to go down to CEO." And we were talking about stuff, and it came out like money. I said, "Yeah, I kind of don't saved up enough." He kind of like, "Well, how much have you saved up?" I said, "Well, I saved up 1,400 of just
Yeah.
like extra money. Just if I wanted to buy stuff, I could buy it. But if I
Right.
need to do stuff, but if that's like me just thinking 5 months out before the event even happened. It's just basically to
Mm.
put that money aside that if I wanted to do something, I could buy stuff there.
Mm.
If I didn't want to buy anything, it was still just money to eat with and do other stuff with.
Right. 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 Yeah. And like I said, that's pretty much the best you could do at this time being. Um, and let's see. Because like for me, I might be more active, and like I said, I might end up. Hey, the best way you might get there and know how to pay too much is, hey, if you volunteer for the event, because you might get some good benefits. They might give you a room, they
Yeah,
might pay you, they might do that. And of course, no, it may seem like it may limit your time a bit because you have to work in a sense, running the bracket and whatnot. And but hey, if it's that, hey, you can work from like they might give you like an open schedule and say, okay, you can go. How many hours you want to work? I can do like 5 6 hours a day. All right, cool. And then the rest of the day you can compete, do whatever, and you can be covered that way. But that's one way you can probably save money. But it might help in the long run, depending on some people. If especially if they want to help get involved, that makes it easy on the organization to find help.
yeah,
And then for you get accommodated with the hotel or food or whatever else. And that's another thing, another option people can look into. It could be a potential win-win because you learn what it's like to be involved with the scene more directly, and also involved like work, do what it's like to be a TO, and you open up your perspectives a lot more in that sense too. And like I say, yeah, overall you could save money though. So and that's what I might look into in the long run because I don't mind competing. And I say I have many hats, but sometimes I can just take a step away from it. But for me, at the same time, I miss traveling because trust me, I'm not going to Evo. I didn't go CEO. I haven't been CEO, but the things I wanted to go to was Combo Breaker, CEO, Evo, and unfortunately before they shut down, like the other Georgia southeastern events, like the Fall Classic, and then of course we had Final Round, um, and stuff like that. You know, and of course traveling a lot. The experience is great because like nothing can beat the traveling experience. It's amazing. So yeah, like I said, what costs us now is like it's so many options. Only some options you can do to reduce it on both parties between the organization and no attendee.
Yeah, because like I said, right now, even right now, I pretty much said I wanted to go to Evo. Like I'm already in saving mode. Like
Mm-hmm,
now,
mm-hmm.
waiting because
Oh yeah, yeah,
Evo, I believe, is in July. They
yeah.
moved
The
it to
move,
July,
yeah, they
so
did.
I'm like,
Evo
okay,
USA.
I'm already in pretty much save mode. 'Cause I'm like, okay, we got to pay for 2 plane tickets, a Uber from
Mm-hmm,
the airport, a hotel
mm-hmm,
room, and food. So it's like I'm already thinking like ahead of time. And
mm-hmm.
I think nowadays you kind of have to always kind of be planning like a few steps ahead.
Right, right, right.
Because I did
Mm-hmm.
agree with you and Shadow on I can't remember which episode it was when y'all were talking about people kind of just like basically spending their last dollars to go to a major. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Like people will do. I mean, in some cases, depending on the person and or depending on the situation, and nothing too much wrong. I'll say, like GoFundMe or donation drives, and or people would stream for donations and stuff like that. And that's how people will try to make money to go to tournaments. And and then like I said, there are people who are willing to like do that, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. It just it sucks that it goes to that route because not saying that you're taking people's money and running away with it. Is but if those people are willing to support you to go, no, that's perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that. It's just I wish it don't have to be almost not say mandatory, but and I'll say it's a standard now that hey, if you want to go to a big major event like Tekken War Tour, for example, happening soon, or the Capcom Cup, even oh man, I want to go to that event, but I don't have the much money. Can you guys donate for up to $1,000 for me to pay for this and that and third? And then it may work, it may not work out, but that's where it can resort to as well. Like I said, it depends on the person, it depends on the situation, and like I said, you know, I wouldn't try to put the organizations at fault for increasing prices because they're only trying to profit enough so they can do another event again and make it bigger. And of course, like I said, obviously, if things get bigger, things might cost more.
Yeah, that's definitely a question that's going to be asked in the community a couple more times, and
Mm-hmm.
I think people really just, as much as I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I just like when I look at the FGC, sometimes like a lot of y'all need to get financial literacy. Because
Mm-hmm.
even though, yeah, I don't particularly like it, but I understand why the prices are what they are. So it's
Right,
like
right, right.
I may not, hey, I don't
Yeah.
want to pay almost $150 to play in a tournament, but I understand why it's that way because I can go in the tournament and I can look around and say, okay, I understand why this money is the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
No. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
but we can switch to the next one. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
basically it's you probably don't answer this question 1,000 times. Basically,
Go for
was
it.
bringing down the skill level of games helping to bridge the gap better for newer players, or did it kind of hurt the games themselves or hurt the scene itself?
mm. It's very subjective, I would say. But personally, and I would say this subjectively. I'd say no, actually. I see it actually helped the scene, if anything, and as well in the objective sense, it does help the scene because the thing about it though, if Street Fighter Five, in a sense, did not have any way for newcomers to assess the game and want to learn the game in a way, we would see a repeat of what happened in Street Fighter Four. Granted, the top players who were good in four may still prevail and do well maybe in five, but the idea of newcomers want to get into the game and trying to learn it at that pace, as the top players, it is not going. It probably won't work out like it is now, because the thing is that we're now a new generation of players that who learn much differently than we did. Because like I said back then, we didn't have the accessibility of the easy inputs. We didn't have the like of course like I said modern controls or trying to think
Simple
the
controls.
tools of the characters. Yeah, so modern controls, the controllers, the or the characters even having like easier ways to do their moves, like the movesets change and it's easier to do. Like rather than worrying about doing the charge situation, like Vega for Street Fighter Five, where he went from quarter circle to charge to quarter circles to do his moves. So you don't have to worry about timing your combos and stuff like that. So he's a little bit easier to play with than he was in four, I would say. But as a result, as I said, many of the players who have complained and worried about, oh my gosh, they made this character easy to pick up now. Luke is a one button win character. You know, he's he's just basically Ryu with this, that, and third. Or mind controls can simplify a lot of things. But I think the thing is that the developers, I think that a lot of people don't really consider too much is the developers having an idea and trying to look at the more than just the FGC. Because I have to say this: the FGC is not the only audience that the developers are catering to. They have to consider and cater to players, people who just want to play fighting games or just like gaming. But the idea that, of course, yes, the FGC will be the main ones that will consistently play at a competitive level. Granted, at the same time, though, is that you want to see growth within the scene. You got to find a way to attract the newcomers. You got to find a way to make it where they they want to pick up the game to like, all right, I want to learn what frame data is. I want to learn how the inputs work or all that type of stuff. And so there's has to be some type of guide, and and of course, as a result, you have the compromise within the game itself to say, okay, here's the easier way to do this fireball because you don't know what a core circle is, you know, then you don't want to be SOL straight out of luck. So that's the thing that now it depends. Another thing, things it can be implemented well. I think Street Fighter Six implemented well versus how Street Fighter Five did because Street Fighter Five made it where everyone can do the exact same type of combo and made it where you can pretty much do the same combos as Daigo or um, or any of the best top players in general. So you can do the most complicated stuff was a few buttons here and there. It was easier to do it that way. But as a result, which understandably so, that people didn't like it. It took away the individuality. It took away hey, no, no, this Joe Smo can do whatever the same thing I can do and win the match, and they don't have to work that hard as I did to get better at it. But the thing is that with Street Fighter Six, yes, there's modern mode, and yeah, you see a lot of modern players and also into it. But the thing was that modern in Street Fighter Six is also being used by pro players, and there's different reasons. Like for example, some players find it easier to input certain techniques or certain sequence of buttons on modern versus classic. Of course, yeah, they willing to take the 25 or so 20 or 25 less damage, whatever, in the long run. But yeah, it's easier to execute, easy to beat down, so forth. But there's data though you can check too, that where still the classic still kind of is like mostly used. And the thing is that I think in the long run it helped because, like I said, we have so many new players now. So many players, we like numbers. Like this game obviously sold very, very well to begin with. But and as far as the competitive and the FCC scene, you know, the competition is intense. Like literally is where you don't see the same players winning all the time. But they might try to look around the top eight, but then you have new people that's coming in. It's with easier access stuff that can try to feel like they're on the same even playing field. But then, like I said, with the compromise on the damage, which is fine for that makes it fine for me. And like I said, I know some games like Grand Blue, for example, they made it where it doesn't matter. Is the easier or complicated inputs? It's the same all across the board. But I think I think that it's fine. I think it helps the scene because, like I said, it helps the scene people get into the game and helps people maybe potentially want to learn more about the game at a higher level. And that's people what we want, and because you don't want to like discourage people just because they don't know how to quarter and circle inputs like y'all like we can do or whatever.
Well,
It's something that has kind of give as a result. And the thing is, like, there's no harm done. I would say, implement a simpler input system, but you give it like, hey, damage, less damage, or whatever to compromise that.
but
So that way, it won't be too much of like, okay, I can easily do all the simple inputs. Oh yeah, or losing certain moves too. So that's the other thing. That makes it, I think, more balancing for me, and I understand that.
but do you believe it's more so coming from the pro player side of things that they're not as
Mm-hmm.
particularly happy with it because now the average player now can actually touch them now, and it's not as big of a gap there because we've seen in Tekken 8 people are just completely hating
Mm-hmm.
Heat. Like they don't like
Mm-hmm.
how aggressive the game is. But even though Harada pretty much said when they talked about the game, they wanted to get rid of the backdashing and the
Mm-hmm.
non-interaction for like long periods of time. They wanted people to get in there and mix it up and start doing stuff. And it's kind of like the community seems kind of split on whether or not there needs to be some adjustments to heat or some of the other mechanics.
Yeah. I can. Yeah. So for the because yeah, even if I say Street Fighter Six, granted it does have defensive mechanics now, which I truly appreciate. Um, it still is more aggressive system, and says like I said, same with Tekken 8, and that aggressiveness can I would say not say backfire, but it can kind of hurt. And I can understand the sentiment of the pro players for that part because you're forced to now engage more than anything, and you're now being like not penalized per se, but you kind of do like for trying to be defensive all the time. You can't run away. You can't block forever. You can't do this and that. No, you can't be as defensive like you want to.
Yeah,
And
because Tekken, I know
but
with Tekken, I know they're pretty much like they don't like the force 50-50s when heat is turned on.
mm-hmm,
Where you kind of like you have to you're in a 50-50, you got to guess every time someone goes into
mm-hmm,
heat.
yeah, and like I said, I think that's the thing about it that like I said, the forcing part of it. Like I personally don't mind it as far as aggressiveness, but like I said, if you're pushed to we have to engage or that's how the game is, then or you're done. It I may not personally agree with that, and I understand that from the developer perspective, they're trying to. I think it's also for the more the viewership, because not only just for the players, it's viewership. The people want to watch people just go throw, they'll just throw hands constantly, and not oh someone running away, oh boo, because there's been like there are people try to post how Tekken 7 was, and it was a hype match to them when the person kept was about to win, but he kept backdashing away just enough where it timed out and he won, and they're like oh snap this hype da da. And you see the people, bashing that guy, like, "Oh my gosh, why are you so hyped about a backdashing game? That's stupid." That was And that type of class you see now, even I say for Street Fighter 6, I would say in particular, the the game is aggressive, but still you have defensive mechanics that makes it insane. Like the parry, the reversal. The character has tools, and the game is more mechanical reliant, the character reliant, which makes it more interesting. And there's so many decisions and situations to make the game, to have the game turn out well. And not to turn out well. Sorry. Um, the game has so many solutions to so many problems and situations, and where I know there's a part that make people say is random or is not consistent because the top player can't beat that average player that everyone's worried about. Because of the fact there are multiple options now. But the thing is that open multiple options to situations makes it for me feel fresh and actually better. And so it depends on the game. For me, I think Street Fighter did it well as far as like having that balance where it's multiple options to do something. You have to constantly engage, but you still get rewards for being defensive though. Whereas Tekken, you have to constantly engage, and you don't get that much reward from being defensive. You're a little more penalized. Um, so as I understand the sentiment of the pro players with the reducing the passiveness to try to win the game, and but at the same time, I think add like the having aggressive is not a bad thing, but I think having it force is not good.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Because there are times in Street Fighter where it's like, okay, the best. It's gonna. It kind of feeds into one of the other questions I had. Like one of the changes I would make. I don't particularly like the way Street Fighter kind of forces you to sort of do something because
Mm-hmm.
the whole time you're blocking, you're taking chip damage to your drive meter. And if I don't have drive meter, I'm pretty much at a major disadvantage. So it's like it's forcing me like I can't just sit here and block. I gotta do something. And I kind of just hate that mentality, like I have to do something when sometimes the best option is just to block.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you want to go more into it, I think the thing with Street Fighter, the idea I think they had in mind for the developers, and I can see that I kind of advocate for them. It's about meter management because the thing is nobody wants to be in a situation where they're trapped, and like I said, in the sense, yeah, actually in the way it could be like you're trying to force you have to engage in some way to avoid that situation, or else then you're it's nearly checkmate, you know, because once you're burnt out. Now, granted, I play DJ, who actually suffers a lot from being burnt out, more than most characters, more than many characters. But I know there's some characters like maybe like Ken, Luke, and so forth. They can be in burnout and they're perfectly fine because of their tools. Um, they still have the good tools they still have that can get out of situations. Whereas DJ really doesn't get much out of it. And as a result, I'm forced to block extra -4. I'm potentially gonna get stunned if I get DI'd against the wall. Um, or if a character has like technically a burnout loop with like jab jab this, jab jab whatever, or jab jab go to DI and I'm stunned. Yeah, and I can understand like it sucks. But I think with the idea of the meter management, really, I'm not sure. They did change some of the costs of the meter. So right now, for what I think where the game is at, I wouldn't say it's perfectly fine, but it's not where it's. I would say it's terrible. Um, for me, I play I play kind of defensively. I like the steal turns. So the parry is my favorite button, and obviously you have seen in many cases.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, recently they actually nerfed it more. The perfect parry, where I don't get that much meter back, as well as much damage. I do even less damage now on the if I perfect parry stuff. which I think is fair because I think in the long run, perfect parry because it's a turn stiller, so really it makes it where you can put yourself at that advantage and so forth. And of course, you know, people like if you made it where it's strong enough where it still turns all the time. Oh gosh, it yeah. People would rather have that game that feature be deleted, but no, trust me. There have been times where people want that feature be gone. And I know Perfect Parry was infamously declared like terrible and should not be in the game by like Punk, and because he publicly talked about how bad Perfect Parry is. But the thing is that what to be yeah, like I said, trying to understand what the developers want trying to do versus always what the players want to do. And like I said, I understand. Like the developers make the game for us in a sense. So we're the ones enjoying the product. We want to enjoy the product. If we're not happy with the product, we are definitely going to be vocal about it. At the same time, is where, but I think what's also happening though is that many of the people who develop the game are also players too. So in this case, like I said, I may be defending the developers, but it's where understanding from their perspective when they made the game might help it make it easier to learn to deal with. But like I said, you can disagree for sure, and I'm not no, I'm not gonna worry about it because I understand. I understand the sentiment once again that to make the game um and to see how it is now, and of course you want to tweak it, but then also like if I were to tweak it as it was, no, tweak it with how it is now. Um, hmm, I think I'm not sure if it balance it out. I would say add a character that can that. I mean, you already have characters that kind of deal stuff that kills. So you have like Marissa that kills Di, and
Mm-hmm.
Zangief as well. Um, there's not really there may be characters that can like that's perfectly that like kill a drive rush for example. Could drive rush is a big thing. I'm the DJ man, so I like drive rush because I benefit greatly for it. But I don't know. With drive rush, it's I would say drive rush to be more punishable. I would say, but then that's like I said, that's the thing. It's hard to try to make it where it's more punishable, but it's still useful. Because it's hard. I think it's hard to try to punish something without potentially making it unusable. Um,
Cause
I don't
I,
know, or
cause
have a character that could either make Drive Rush. I wonder if there's a character that can lock away a mechanic. I wonder if they added a new character that can do that. Like if you try to Drive Rush against a character, like you're gonna you can get shut down. If
cause,
I were to make a change, I'd make a character.
like with Drive Rush, I kind of like I would want them to kind of tweak it a bit to where
Mm-hmm.
instead of like raw Drive Rush costing you 3 bars, I would probably drop it down to like a bar and a half.
Oh, wait, from on hits.
No, just raw Drive Rush.
Oh
I
oh,
believe
no,
I
no,
believe
Raw
it's
Drive Rush.
I believe it's 3 bars. It takes three.
No, 3 bars if 3 bars if you do on hit, you
Okay.
cancel into it because
Oh, that's
it's
right. Because I'm sorry, I got it
mm.
reversed.
Oh, you
I
good.
would think that I would make it cost less because you should be rewarded more for getting the hit more so than just doing it outright.
Uh,
But but I know that will
mm,
probably rub a lot of people the wrong way if they changed it where you don't use as much meter for certain moves. It's kind of one of those things where I feel like it's hard to balance this game because I think if you change certain things, it kind of teeters the game in one direction for the good or
yeah,
the good or the bad.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like and I think let's say the game is more mechanic reliant, so that's the big issue. if it was more characters and stuff, that's maybe a slightly different story. But like I said, because like example, if Drop Rush was nerfed in a sense, like characters like Zangief, like would struggle more because they can't get much advantage, like hitting and canceling to it, or raw cancel after they do a knockdown to try to, you know, engage again. You know, Zangief would be, why pick up Zangief because they can't get close to any character after knockdown. They have to struggle to fight for full screen again, especially against a JP. So that's like an example that what will happen if you make a change on the mechanic that potentially could benefit certain characters in some way or another. Then you actually like I said, you shift you teeter like the game to different to one direction.
I just think the game, like you said, it needs we need to get more characters than what we have right now, and I think they do kind of need to speed up the character releases because
Mm-hmm.
one every what is it like every 4 months, 4 to 5.
Quarter, yeah, kind of like a quarter, 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, because I think right now, yeah, cause Guile is what the only zoner type character in the game.
Uh, I would say Dowsum
Yeah,
kind of is. I say JP to extent is because JP is a big long range character. Like he can keep you out with his pillars. Got the ghosts. Got the level 2. Like he has range. Like because he kicks you out and he make you stay out. So you have like a few. Like now, this is me. We need more grapplers. but that's the thing. Like right now, like as far as the release of like characters and so forth, I think I know they're developing and they try to take. I think they may be taking some time with it. No, I wish there was more characters per season versus yeah.
yeah, just the four
But
characters.
regardless, yeah, and granted, we know what we're going to get and stuff like that because they
Yeah, pretty much
they
lay
announced
out
ahead of
the
time,
roadmap. But it
right?
kind of
It just
kills like any enjoyment. It's like, oh well, we already know who's coming, so there's no need to speculate or just have like these kind of conversations where we kind of, man, I hope it's going to be this character. Nah, I hope it's going to be this character. It's like, nope, we already know
well,
everyone.
consider the situation with Steam now. They forcing developers to reveal all details of the season pass, else they refund people who pay for it.
Yeah,
Because like they won't allow you to sell the game unless if they have season pass and you don't tell the full details of it. So that will unfortunately for them kind of kills that. But
I think more people are mad because you're getting two guest characters in the same season.
yeah, now in person for me, I do not care for Terry and Mai. I'm happy and now understanding what they do in Fatal Fury, it makes more sense. And of course, the creator of Fatal Fury Street Fighter, I understand it more. I wish it was just maybe next season rather than this season. But you know what? Hopefully the fan favorites and stuff get out of the way. The big fan favorites. I'm hoping to see G or someone from Street Fighter 3 come back. Or a brand new character altogether. Like no guess. Personally.
Maybe Remy.
Definitely overdue. That character should have come back. And I mean they literally we can have both Guile and Remy. Because they have some differences. So, because Remy's not super defensive like Guile is, but like, hey, it'd be a guy with because we have 3 Shotos. Technically 4, you count Luke. So I think it should be fair.
Technically five
We
if you
have
count Jury, because she technically is. I feel more like she's a show though.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't argue against it. Fair enough. Fair enough. I wouldn't argue against it. But that's the no. That I think like I said to develop the game, and I said it's really hard to figure out what to best balance without a major compromise as a result. But I think hopefully if they add more characters, it may balance things out in the long run. You start seeing, hey, this character can shut down Drive Rush, or this character can make parry not worth against them for some reason. So I'm hoping that we might get that type of thing, but it's kind of it'll be interesting to see that if it goes to that route.
Like I'm interested. The only character I've really been interested in this season was Mai because she's one of my favorite characters.
Okay.
But at the same time, I kind of don't want her there because I feel like her and Terry kind of break the rules of Street Fighter in a lot of ways with some of the stuff that he can do. And I'm like, I know she's gonna have a lot of her King of Fighter, Fatal Fury moves, but I just feel like every time you add guest characters in the game, they always kind of like the rules are clearly established in Street Fighter. Even when they did Akuma in Tekken 7, like he breaks the rules of the game and is allowed to get away with it. And it kind of feels like that with Terry right now.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I said that's the big fear about it. It's really hard to try to restrain them a lot because while them make them feel like natural from their original games or like their origin, whatever. So yeah, I can understand that, and I understand like how not easy it is to try to develop it, and of course, you get that type of reception. But like I said, hopefully, maybe over time, you might see some changes that makes it a little more even on the battlefield. But who knows?
Oh no, I'm still holding out hope for Sagat next season.
I hear you. I know that's your boy.
Yeah. Cause I just feel like Street Fighter 5, he got a really bad deal on that game. Cause like every time, what's his name? It was right on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, Painbot would talk about. I'm like, you feeling my pain, brother? Cause I'm like, this character is like they completely chopped his knees off in this game.
Yeah.
It, like you put, like you said, you put a fireball spacing character in a game where pretty much every character has a way to get around fireballs, and then everything he has is slow. It's like you have to. When Street Fighter 5, it felt like you had to play Sagat one way, and if you deviated from that pattern of playing him, like you would lose. Because you couldn't be really aggressive with him. You had to kind of just sit back and be patient and just take your time. That's why I say I love the character, but at times it's like, why can't I just go up and do stuff? Why can't I be more aggressive with this character? And I feel like Street Fighter 6 right now, with the way the system is set up, it fits his playstyle better.
Yeah, I'll be very interested to see how it plays out if he returns. I'm very curious.
Well, I don't think we'll probably know the next character till almost the middle of next year.
Capcom Cup, probably like to Capcom Cup maybe, which is in February, I think. Like we probably or March, I think. Like February, March, we'll know that next season the characters.
Oh, I didn't know they would announce. I thought they would probably wait till like.
After, they didn't do. They didn't do that last time. I forgot.
I thought they would wait till probably like right after they do Elena's reveal, maybe like a couple of months after that, the next major, they might actually finally reveal, okay, here's the next season's characters.
Gotcha. Definitely, I forgot they didn't do nothing at Capcom Cup. I remember that. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see.
And we just go ahead and get into the last question, which is this is probably going to be more complicated. But does the FGC need an overall governing body for the community in a whole to kind of deal out suspensions, bans, things of that issue?
I'm gonna be real with you on this. I'm actually gonna say I have a reason for it, and I can say no. Well, because the thing is, I actually was part of the group that was trying to establish a code of conduct program and try to find a way to make a system to incorporate where there's a type of warnings, offenses that's going on. How do we try to process that if someone's accused of something or alleged this, whatever that? The problem that nothing really came out of it, and no one didn't really do much with it, and the details were just kind of finicky. I can't not NDA, but I actually left at a point early on because I just feel like it wasn't going to go anywhere, and it wasn't going to be implemented really well. It's and I know it sucks because you see nowadays there's players that who maybe still in the FGC who are a problem, unfortunately, and it gets to where decisions may be made to try to kick out the person, but then they might be like, no, well, it's not fully true, or we didn't get the full details, or that's just hearsay, this and that third, and it just feel like we don't really have that power jurisdiction to just deal with the solution of that person. Now, yeah, we could probably say, hey, we kick you out or ban you and all that stuff. And it's just the weird part where it gets complicated when that person doesn't want to be banned or doesn't want to try to plead their case. No, to establish something like a judge jury, I would say executioner in a sense, but a judge and jury system within the FTC, it really can get complicated. Like you said, maybe because the fact that some of the TOs might know him as a best friend. There's no proper investigation as far as like having the evidence and reports, and then like I say, we have authorities, for example, to deal with that type of stuff because especially as like a serious offense, but to try to actually establish a whole full system is work in itself, and to try to make it work right, it'll be hard. But
Yeah.
like I said, because many in many cases you've seen, there are players that still attend events, even though they've been accused of stuff, and the TO may be like, "Well, we might give them a chance because they didn't really done anything much lately, or they we will keep an eye on him at least, if anything." And the person who did the accusing may not feel comfortable, and they get upset, and they blow up on social media about it, and it can become a mess. And yeah, we will. It feel like we should have something to kind of, let's say, damage control and maintain that mess. But it feels like we don't have that type of power to deal with a person. Like I said, because if it's something like a serious offense, that should be beyond our jurisdiction. That should be with the actual authorities.
Yeah.
But and
'Cause-
the best thing we could do is kick out that person out of the scene
yeah.
and say, "Hey, don't come back here until you get that sorted out." That's the best thing we do, and it depends on the scene.
Yeah, and then you got people that may have ulterior motives for wanting to get somebody up out of there. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I can see
yeah,
I can see where it could become a mess, like more complicated than it should be. 'Cause
mm-hmm,
it's just the I don't know, probably like I guess the most famous one is probably like the infiltration thing, where
mm-hmm,
he's
yeah,
been trying to get back in, and then he's applying to tournaments, and then they're just like, we're not gonna let you in, and they're not giving any reason for why they're not
mm-hmm.
letting him in after I believe what has it been like what about 2-3 years,
Yeah,
and it's
it's
kind of
been
one of
a good couple of years. Yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, do we need a governing body? It's at times I feel like we do, and at times I feel like we don't, because it's like, okay, well, how would you elect the governing body? How would it be just, hey, I'm just going to put my friends in these positions, or is it going to be up to the community? Is it up to the TOs? It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like when I started really thinking about, like, man, this is this is I can see why this could come to be way more of a headache than it's worth just doing
Right.
it.
Right. And I said and it happened before, and I said I was kind of part of it for a minute. But the thing is that the way it was executed was just poorly, and nothing came much out of it in the long run. So that's why I unfortunately left. And no, the thing is that we have our own scene, literally, but I do pay attention to things that's happened outside of our scene because potentially we do have people that come in that may be unfortunately either problematic or start something, or they may be accused of something, whatever. You know, to make that decision depending on what's going on. And trust me, as a TO, it's complicated already.
Yeah, because I
For
remember
me,
I think you had to confront one of the Smash players. 'Cause I think him and D3 was about to get into it.
yeah, it was like something like that happened. Yeah, yeah, that kind of happened. Like I said, to confront them, and so to confront and make decisions. Say, hey, you're not welcome here. Just that third, you know, and of course, like I said, it may not be as clear as day because sometimes you make someone that comes in and then you won't find out till something terrible happened to them or they did something terrible either way, and it's like, well, dang, they didn't do nothing wrong at the moment or nowadays, but here's this issue. So, what can we go do from there? Can we try to tell the person that, hey, don't come back here until whatever you're accused of is resolved, or hey, you're cool, but we might keep an eye on you, or whatever else. But no, the thing is for that for to deal with a scene individually, outside of the FGC as a whole, it can be complicated, just as complicated as trying to have a full FGC judgment conduct code of conduct system. And like I said, the thing is, for us is this that hey, if there's an issue going on between you and somebody else, like you might have both of you guys to step back from the scene, just don't come to the events, don't come to session, whatever, until y'all resolve it outside and have actual authorities to deal with it. Especially if it's serious offense or serious allegations or serious like accusation, or as a whether it be false or not, you know, yeah, because ultimately it's between those two people, and to bring a community involved that doesn't really have much of a power of it or a more or less actual authority to make a judgment call, the best judgment call, I would say. Then yeah, but unfortunately that's where people can take advantage to try to use the community to sway a certain way, and then that you have this whole mess of from 2 people, 3 people that know about the situation that's supposed to help resolve it to now hundreds of players that's into your business, and that makes it a lot more complicated than anything. And that's a lot of process that we have to figure out to try to resolve it.
Yeah, because I can understand it because especially with a lot of stuff that's been going on at some of these majors with people, and it's kind of like, how do you really deal with it? Like these are two grown adults that may
Right.
be having a relationship or not having a relationship, but now it's like it's spilled over into the overall community, and now the TOs are having the TO of that tournament or the TOs in general are having to deal with that, like people's interpersonal relationships with each other, and it's like that's not really not really what I'm here for.
Right. Like
So
you really want to try to, um, because the thing is, like, it's not really your business. Now, yeah, it sucks. Now, if you know the person, yeah, you would try to, if you know what's going on yourself personally, and if you're not really involved with it, you can try to help out. But I think something to have it happen or whatever, I think it should be dealt with outside of FGC, to be honest. But like I said, and have that person to not be active or do anything in the FCC for the time being until it gets resolved. There's a judgment call where it's like, okay, this person did do something or this person didn't do something, and who, and the accusation is false or the accusation is true. You know, is rather like to say, hey, y'all guys need to go to authorities, talk this out, resolve it however, because if you bring 100 people in, they're gonna have their opinions in there, and you have everybody fighting, fussing about your judgment, and that's not a good look on the FCC in the long run.
yeah, it's kind of hard to just find like a neutral party and have them
Oh, definitely, definitely,
kind of
because
mediate over things.
you don't have fans of both sides that will try to support, and then they get involved and they actively try to, unfortunately, in some cases, may threaten or harass the accused or the accuser, and it'd be a crazy back and forth of what they should do, should allow, not allow. But the thing is that we don't have that type of, like, we can set up a system, but if we were have to execute it really well, like it has to be people who know, have to understand how to make the best judgment calls. And at this point, I don't think we're in the best state to do that. So that's why I said I'd rather have it be up to the individual in the sense for these. Yeah, of course, like I said, we're gonna have each scene gonna have its own problem, problematic people. But like I said, I think if anything, push both parties towards you having actual authorities and having an actual system that is already set to resolve it than just trying to create a full process, a full system, and then trying to handle the process.
Yeah, 'cause I think this question has been coming up more because the more and more we've
Mm-hmm.
been transitioning into esports, it's kind of like esports is going to force you to go this way, whether y'all like it or not. With having like somebody's got to basically be the set rules, and I think I don't know if that's why the FGC has kind of been kind of fighting against going esports. It's like because the community feels split when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
esports and just staying grassroots.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is like it depends on the esports. Like some could make a decision to completely about ban the character, ban the character, ban the player or whatever, and then wait. Oh, sorry. I was still talking about the judgment situation. Sorry.
Oh no,
Are you talking about are you talking about grassroots versus esports?
yeah, kind of feeling
Okay,
like that's why they're kind of pushing. They don't want to go esports because esports would kind of force a certain set of rules upon them that they may not want to abide by.
got you. Like I said, it depends. And like I said, I'm this is from someone who's in both parties. You know, um, the problem that happens a lot is that over the years that you have two parties that have different views and different ideas of how a scene should function, a community should function, and sometimes it can be almost like nearly opposing. But then sometimes it can be like they have the same idea, but there's a different way to go about it, and it can be kind of weird. Um, like for example, how to behave in the area, like how to trash talk or how to deal with someone who's a problem or how to um build a scene, or how to deal with prize money, whatever. So the thing is that what's missing is that people don't find what they have in common and try to personally get to know each other and understand that, okay, what we're trying to what do we have in common that we want to deal with. We have a problematic person that we need to either deal with. We have an idea of trying to grow the scene. We have the way to conduct behavior, this, and that, third. You know, okay, and basically like communicate and trying to understand more at a personal level, and not always just a business level. And that way, it's where you're understanding the person and trying to say, okay, well, you guys want to try to do this and that third, you know, or the grassroots trying to be like this, the esports trying to be like that. Let's find a common ground. Let's work together on that goal. How can we support you guys? How can you support us? What do you guys want? Versus, and what do we want? It's the same thing. Let's see if there's a way to compromise, and that's what's missing in most cases. Between the parties, because you see it as esports just want to make money and profit and be publicly marketed as this big thing, and be successful in the business way. The grassroots likes to be like well known, exposed, and have money and have it where they're accepted as a like serious organization of a sort. And there's ways they go about it and how they express that, and it's not communicated, and it's not where they compromise with that. So you see that result, that clash, and as you have where grassroots don't feel comfortable dealing with esports, and esports don't feel comfortable with grassroots. And then, as like that harsh, the hostility towards each other happens. But then, as a result, the FGC don't get money for their tournaments like they used to. And the esports people start closing down and the organizations because they're not getting the people that they want. So I think that communication and compromise is the two major things that should be a standard, but at a personal level, more than besides this business level.
Yeah, so basically, like both scenes want to get to a specific point, but they don't agree on the path on which to get there.
Right, right.
But at times, I kind of feel like, well, we're both of the same. Like you were saying, like you're gonna have to compromise somewhere and say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, we're gonna compromise on this because you're compromising on that. And I
Mm-hmm.
do feel like if we're gonna go esports, then yes, there's gonna be a bit of oversight from
Mm-hmm.
esports.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's not gonna be the Wild West.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
that's something that I think that the grassroots kind of they're gonna have to just learn to deal with and kind of maneuver around it. And I'm not saying that you just have to be very PG-13, but
Right. Mm-hmm.
you just can't we can't just crash out on a live stream when you got a lot of sponsors and they like
Mm-hmm.
the sponsors look in the stream and people are just wilding out. They're going like, okay, I don't want my brand attached to this. It's
Right.
going to backfire. So it's like a give and take. Like you gonna have to have a
Mm-hmm.
certain behavior, and that's y'all said it on y'all show. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you should have home training. Okay, we can talk
Right,
trash,
right.
we can smack talk, we can talk trash. It's all good, but don't go overboard with it because sometimes it
Yeah.
feels like people kind of just go a little bit too far. Like I get it. You're gonna get up in people's faces, but when it gets to the point where y'all are almost about to come to blows, I'm like, okay, no. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I'm an advertiser, what was it? It was the Noel Brown situation when he lost, and then he just hauls off and just punched the guy. I'm like, if I was an advertiser looking at him like, get my stuff off of your stream.
Right,
Like
right.
I can't be attached to this right now.
Right, that's not understandable. That especially that specific situation, and actually, I can testify for our scene. Like, we have Reboot Retro Gaming and Swag Out Nerds. It seems like right now, we're a little bit more hand in hand because initially, when Swag Out Nerds came through, there was that moment of a riff. There's that we don't trust these guys. Of course, we didn't know them. And in general, when you don't know someone and they come up to you with an offer, part of the is like feel like a telemarketer or a debt collector. You want to hang up on them. You don't want to deal with engage with them at all. You know, but I think like to find a way to approach and say, okay, hey, I see you like fighting games. I see y'all guys like tournaments. Y'all guys like money, this that, and third. Okay, we're this that, and third. We try to do this and that. I said, okay, cool. Find a way to sit down and discuss what goals you have. And you have similar goals, go through them and explain why that y'all guys approach the goal a certain way on each end. And then say, okay, well, I like to make money by entering tournaments. Not by entering tournaments. I like to, no, I like to win money in tournaments. All right, well, we like to make money and like money somehow is involved. Then you talk about okay, we so how much do you charge for an event? Well, we like to charge this amount of money. Can we charge a little bit more or a little bit less? Yeah, we can probably do a little bit less, a little more. No, that type of thing. That's when you start seeing that compromise coming in. But explaining and understanding like how you're going to grow, how you're going to provide, and so forth. And like I said, for us, it wasn't easy for Reboot and Swag on Nerds, but when we had meetings, we had many players and people in general to meet the Swag on Nerds crew and discuss with them what they desire, what they want, how to meet that goal. And now, we're at the point. Hey, we now have setups provided for us. We have Easy Kai. We have the Nerds Cup tournaments being successful, and the grassroots tournaments is still doing really well. So you have both parties are making that win-win situation. So it is, in a sense, it is possible. It is finding the right way to communicate and compromise.
And I can definitely because Swagged Out Nerds. Because I remember when they first started sponsoring it, like if they were just here for money, I was like, no, they would have been left. Like I could tell, like
Mhm.
they were in it for the long haul and trying to help build the scene. But I could tell that there was probably some button of heads between them and Reboot at times.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'm kind of glad that they did kind of get that whole situation figured out because
Yeah.
they've been very helpful, and I'm glad that they stuck around like through the hard times of Street Fighter Five, and now going into Street Fighter Six, and the scene is like I can't remember. I think the last tournament, like every tournament we had, I think what it's usually about what 30 to 40 people.
Um, like back, like then, or talking about now?
I'm talking about now.
Yeah, like the average went up like crazy. Like actually, yeah, it was like 33 people for this last Saturday tournament. Yeah.
Yeah, cause trust me, we was. I like sometimes I don't joke with you about that crowd. Like it was kind of like the dark ages then. Like, and I know you were feeling it too. Like, man, is this even worth me keep doing? Look, we are not getting that many players in here, and I know it
Mm,
kind of flashed in your mind. Like, was it worth it?
yeah, I mean, trust me, being because like the things you hear and talk to other tos, and they have their their stories of being in the trenches and stuff, and dealing with being working with both parties, and I know in general they feel a certain way towards esports, and not easy. Oh, well, definitely not easy. I mean, for sure, like you pointed out, because the thing is that the years of that schism, I would say, between two parties really put a lot of scars on people, especially on the grassroots end. So it becomes, very hard and more and more difficult to try to work with them in the long run. And it just takes a lot of like I said, personal connection and understanding and compromising in the process. And it's not easy, and because no, you want to get to the point where you want to be in the big, you want to have a good platform, you want to have a good, amazing foundation of things, but you have to learn that you're growing as a person, you're growing as community, they're growing as a business, they're growing individually as a person themselves. And I think once we have that personal, like, hey, you're a person that tries to make something big out of it, and you have to deal with them as a person, or must you deal with them as a business? And I think that was the biggest thing that was been missing for a while. And now, like I said, here we are in this in the situation where we're kind of both profiting and winning in both cases, and it feel like almost feel like the sky's the limit. It just it's still it's still taking some time to get to that point. It's not going to be an easy road, but we're better now than we have been. And like I said, 33 people for our tournament last week, and then reboot at least is having numbers. Then the casual sessions is growing. In addition to that, so let's say as that result, it can pay off.
Cause I can honestly say I could see. I'm waiting for the day when y'all come out and announce the Isekai Major. Like right alongside Max Mode. This is like the second tournament of the season in Georgia. Because I really feel like that's where it's leading to. That it's gonna turn into a big major, and then now you got Max Mode, now you got Isekai, and basically they're the new final round.
Maybe in the sense, the thing is, like, I may not be too worried about it myself personally of creating a new final round and so forth. I mean, I just focus on just want to create a space for at least the Middle Georgia FGC to have, and I want to make sure that it's as solid a foundation so that if once I'm gone, I move on, whether retired, whatever, that it's there. Newcomers have a place that they can go to, consistently, and basically just enjoy playing what they love, which is fighting games, and or gaming at this point in general. So yeah,
And we definitely
that's all I'm
appreciate.
there.
We definitely appreciate you, sir. Because like I said, I've known Kurt. I think pretty much since like 2019 is when I
Yeah,
came is when I came into the scene,
I would
and
say it's been a good minute. Yeah.
and I've seen the hard work that you put in with the scene, and basically keeping it afloat and keeping it growing, and basically at times to kind of see you kind of sit back and look at everything and how it is now, and just kind of like in your, I guess in your head, like just got that big smile on your face, like this was what all that hard work was for.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm tired right now because I have to clean out the house. But yes, I'm. Of course, like last weekend. If you, yeah, if you seen it, if you only saw, I should have put some pictures of it. I think we did post it, but like I said, it was how it is on a normal reboot tournament day. It was packed, and people, and like I said, you almost couldn't move because there was so many people, and that feeling is great every time. Like it's a great feeling. Like I said, I know you couldn't make it, but either way, I would truly appreciate y'all. Appreciate you, Chris, for sticking around with us this long. Of course, I mean, you've been one of us anyway, but you've been for being part of the scene. So I appreciate you for that, and you definitely help contribute and provide it where we this is possible, and you made it where I thank you for that. I thank you, Joshua, Shadow Ace, Big Boss DP, everyone in the middle of Georgia, especially, for being a part of this community. Because without y'all, we wouldn't be here. So, thank you.
No problem. And I definitely want to let you know, like, I'm a boy. I tell you, say this, and I'm gonna let you go because I know it's getting late. Like
Mm-hmm,
when I found you guys, like it was at a really bad time in my life. 'Cause my daughter had just passed away,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
I had literally basically I needed something to just pour my passion and my heart into right then. And finding reboot, finding you guys basically really gave me like a reason to keep going at times. Just that
mm-hmm.
camaraderie and everything. My rivalry with Big Boss DP, like going to reboot, just playing games, learning the games with y'all guys. Is like it really helped me through a hard time in my life personally. And so that's why every time you say, "Hey Chris, can we borrow your PS5?" Cool. Yeah, you can go ahead and get it. Hey Chris, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you help us do that? Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why I say I have no problem. Like anytime you ask me to do something, I try to do it. I even at the point now where I kind of want to reach out to Shadow Ace and say, "Hey, man, what do I need to start if I want to start learning how to commentate?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm sure he definitely would give you a lot of tips and ideas and everything. So for sure, for sure, I could give you some and some just basics. It's, I mean, like I said, not I would say not hard and stuff. It's just I know for me, I would have someone who actually been a little bit longer than I have, and actually more consistent with it to give you a better view and better tip of it, and they can guide you well. If I can, I'll try to see what I can do on my end. But definitely for sure, I say yeah, definitely have Shadow if you get Shadow involved. Sure, he'll take good care of you.
I definitely plan to reach out to him,
Mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna hold your time up anymore tonight, sir. 'Cause I know you got a lot to do. Is there anything
Yeah.
that you want to plug? You got the floor.
Yeah. For those who want to figure out where I am in the social media, I'm on SirRetro08 on Twitter, Instagram, and I believe even Facebook. And of course, you can pretty much can look me up at this point anywhere. And of course, I'm in the Discord with the Middle Georgia FT Discord, specifically. And oh, on Twitch, Sir underscore Retro 08. So if I stream, of course, our podcast series called I Got Next, as well as streaming just casual gaming, or if we have a little gaming session for fighting games or whatnot, you can find me there as well. So yeah, that's pretty much my plugins and my shout outs to I said to you for the hosting this cool podcast. I hope to take us off. Appreciate it for being the first guest of it, for sure.
Oh, no doubt, no
And
doubt.
yep,
But
and for FCC, Middle Georgia FCC, I love you guys. Appreciate y'all as a whole.
all right,
And that's
guys,
all to say.
that's gonna be it for tonight. Thank you, Sir Retro, for coming through. I'm
Thank
gonna
you for
pretty
your.
much get everything edited up and put it up. It should be on YouTube. I'm thinking either by tomorrow or Monday.
Okay, okay.
All right. But everybody, y'all have a good night. I will talk to y'all guys later. We'll see y'all later. Peace. I'm out.
Deuces.